Hello, English learners! Welcome back to Talk English Now. I'm Sarah, and today we're going to talk about improving your listening and speaking through daily fluency practice. This lesson is designed especially for learners at the B1 and B2 levels. That means you already understand quite a lot of English, but you want to move towards speaking more smoothly, confidently, and naturally. So let's dive in together and make this a real step forward in your journey. Think about the last time you tried to follow a conversation in English. Maybe it was a movie, a podcast, or even two native speakers chatting at work or school. Did you notice how quickly they spoke? How words seemed to blend together? How sometimes you caught the main idea but lost a few small details? That is perfectly normal at your stage. The good news is that with the right kind of daily practice, your ears and your mouth can learn to work together in English. That is what we are going to train today. The first thing to understand is that listening and speaking are not separate skills. They grow together. When you listen carefully to real, natural English, you are not only training your ears to recognize sounds and patterns, you are also feeding your brain with the exact rhythm, intonation, and structure that you will use when it's your turn to speak. Think of it like music practice. You don't only play an instrument, you also listen to how others play. And through listening, your own style improves. So let's start with a simple warm-up. I'll say a short phrase, then I'll pause for a moment, and I want you to repeat after me, not just the words, but also the rhythm, the feeling, and the tone. Are you ready? Let's try. It's a beautiful day today. Go ahead. Repeat. Very good. Again. It's a beautiful day today. Notice how the words flow into one another. Beautiful connects softly with day. That low is what makes your English sound natural. When you shadow or repeat, imagine you are copying not only the words but the music of the sentence. Now let's take another phrase. I didn't quite catch that. Could you repeat it, please? Say it with me. This phrase is extremely useful when listening practice feels challenging. Instead of freezing, you can use this sentence in real life. Try it once more. I didn't quite catch that. Could you repeat it, please? Excellent. Practicing phrases like these gives you real tools you can use immediately in conversations. Listening becomes easier when you are not only hearing sounds, but also predicting what might come next. For example, if someone says, "Yesterday I went to the supermarket and..." Your brain already expects a continuation like "bought some food," or "met a friend," or "spent too much money." This skill of prediction is something we will practice together. I will start sentences, and you will guess the ending. Then I will give you one natural ending. Ready? Yesterday, I woke up and... Pause. Maybe you thought, had breakfast. That's a natural guess. My version is, yesterday I woke up and went for a run. See how your brain started preparing for possibilities. That's how real listening works. It's about preparing your mind, not just catching every sound. Let's try another one. Last weekend, my friend invited me to... Pause. What do you think? maybe a party or dinner. My version: last weekend, my friend invited me to watch a movie at her place. Very good. By practicing like this, you're teaching your mind to stay active, not passive, during listening. You are predicting, checking, and adjusting, and this makes you faster when speaking too, because you will have ready patterns in your head. Speaking of patterns, one of the best ways to improve fluency at the B1 and B2 levels is to focus on chunks of language. Not single words, but small groups of words that are often used together. For example, instead of thinking about on plus the plus other plus hand separately, you think of on the other hand as one single unit. Let's practice that. Repeat after me. On the other hand, I prefer coffee in the morning. Very nice. By practicing chunks, your speech will sound smoother because you won't hesitate between every single word. Another example is, as far as I know. Repeat it. As far as I know, she's on holiday. Great. This expression comes out in one breath, almost like one long word. When you listen to native speakers, try to catch these chunks. When you speak, try to use them. It reduces the mental load and gives you fluency. Now let's move into a short, guided practice. Imagine you are meeting a colleague before starting work. I will play the role of the colleague, and you will respond after me. Here we go. Hey, how was your weekend? Take a moment to answer out loud. Perhaps you said, "It was good, thank you." Perfect. Next line. Did you do anything fun? Answer that one. Maybe you said, "Yes, I went shopping," or "I just relaxed at home." Excellent. Notice that these short exchanges are very real, very daily, and they are exactly the kind of practice that trains both listening and speaking fluency. At this point, you might be wondering, how much daily practice is enough? The answer is simple. Consistency is more important than length. Even 10 minutes of focused listening and repeating every single day is more powerful than 2 hours once a week. Think of it like watering a plant. A little water every day keeps it alive and growing. Too much water all at once is not helpful. So make English a part of your daily rhythm. Listen, repeat, speak, shadow. Every single day. Let's shadow a mini dialogue together. I will read it slowly first, then more naturally, and you will follow after me. First line. Excuse me, do you know where the nearest bus stop is? Your turn. Good. Second line. Yes, it's just around the corner, next to the bank. Your turn. Excellent. Did you feel the natural rise and fall in the question? Excuse me, do you know where the nearest bus stop is? That melody is just as important as the words. When you shadow it, you are training your mouth and your ears to move in harmony. Now let's increase the speed a little. Ready? Excuse me, do you know where the nearest bus stop is? Repeat. Yes, it's just around the corner next to the bank. Repeat. Great job. By shadowing at different speeds, you are building flexibility. You learn not only the words, but also the rhythm and the speed of real English. Remember, fluency doesn't mean speaking without mistakes. It means speaking smoothly enough that people understand you and you feel comfortable expressing yourself. Mistakes are natural. They are signs that you are trying, practicing, and improving. So don't be afraid of mistakes. Focus on the flow, the rhythm, the connection between words. That is what will carry you to the next level. Before we continue, take a deep breath and relax your shoulders. Fluency grows when you are calm and open. If you are tense, your words will come out slower. If you are relaxed, your speech will flow more naturally. Think of this lesson as a safe place where you can experiment, repeat, shadow, and practice without fear. Every time you listen, every time you speak, you are one step closer to fluency. Let's go a little deeper into the idea of connecting words together. In English, we often don't pronounce every word separately the way textbooks show them. Instead, words link, blend, and sometimes even disappear in fast speech. This is called connected speech. For example, when someone says, "What do you want to do?" it often sounds more like, "What do you want to do?" The sounds merge and shift. At first, this can be frustrating for learners because you feel like you're hearing something completely different, but the more you listen and repeat, the more your brain adjusts. And once you start using connected speech in your own speaking, people will understand you more easily because you sound more natural. Let's practice with a few sentences. Say after me slowly, "I'm going to eat." Good. Now let's connect the words. I'm gonna eat. Repeat. That's the way it often sounds in everyday English. Another one. Did you eat yet? Slowly, word by word. Now connect it. Did you eat yet? Repeat. This might feel strange at first, but it is exactly how English lives and breathes in daily conversations. If you train your ear to recognize these forms, listening becomes easier. If you train your mouth to use them, speaking becomes smoother. Now let's do a short dialogue where we practice listening and repeating. I'll say it first naturally, then pause for you to shadow. Ready? Hey, what are you up to this evening? Repeat. Not much. I'm just gonna stay home and relax. Repeat. Sounds good. Maybe we can hang out tomorrow. Repeat. Very nice. Notice how "what are you" sounded more like "whatcha," and "going to" became "gonna." Your task is not to force these shortcuts, but to notice them, copy them, and slowly allow them to become natural in your speech. Listening is not only about catching words, it's also about catching tone. Think about the difference between "you're coming" and "you're coming." The words are the same, but the intonation changes the meaning. In English, the rise at the end of a question is a clear signal. So when you practice listening, don't only focus on vocabulary. Pay attention to the music of the sentence. Repeat it with the same rise and fall. Let's try. You're coming. Flat, calm. You're coming. Rising at the end. Repeat both versions. Excellent. This practice will make your speech more expressive and help you understand subtle meanings when others speak. At the B1 and B2 levels, one of the biggest challenges is hesitation. You know the words, but when you try to speak, you pause too long, searching for the right phrase. Let's work on reducing that hesitation. A great strategy is to use fillers that native speakers use, not meaningless noise, but real phrases that buy you time while keeping the flow. For example, "Well, let me think," or "That's a good question," or "I guess." These are not empty. They are natural ways of holding space in conversation. Let's practice one. Repeat. "Well, let me think about that for a second." Good. Now imagine you're asked, "What's your favorite movie?" Instead of freezing, you can say, "Well, let me think about that for a second. I guess my favorite movie is Inception." Do you feel the difference? You're speaking smoothly, not stuck in silence. Let's continue with more active practice. I'll ask you some questions, and you'll answer out loud. Don't worry if you make mistakes. The goal is flow. Here's the first. What do you usually eat for breakfast? Answer out loud. Good. Second question. When was the last time you traveled to another city? Take a moment to answer. Nice. Third question. If you could learn any new skill, what would it be? Answer out loud. Wonderful. This kind of question-answer practice keeps your speaking muscles active and teaches you to respond more quickly in real situations. Now let's add a shadowing exercise with a bit more length. I'll read a short story, then you repeat it sentence by sentence. Ready? Yesterday morning, I woke up late because I forgot to set my alarm. Repeat. I rushed to the bus stop, but the bus had already left. Repeat. So I had to walk to school, which took almost 40 minutes. Repeat. Even though it was stressful, I realized I enjoyed the walk and the fresh air. Repeat. Excellent. Do you notice how storytelling helps you practice both listening and speaking? It gives you natural rhythm and also helps you build the habit of connecting sentences together smoothly. At this point, let's pause and think about your progress. Each time you repeat after me, you are training 3 things at once. You're training your ears to notice sounds, your mouth to copy them, and your brain to link meaning with rhythm. This is the secret of fluency. It's not about memorizing endless grammar rules. It's about living inside the language, even for a few minutes every day. Now, I want to remind you of something important. If you're enjoying this lesson, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more daily English practice. Your support helps me create more lessons for you, and it keeps you connected to a community of learners working toward fluency tagi. Ether. Let's keep practicing. I'll give you a listening challenge. I'll say a sentence at normal speed. Your job is to catch the main idea and then repeat it back. Don't worry if you don't catch every word. Focus on the meaning. Here we go. I was supposed to meet my friend at the cafe, but she texted me to say she'd be late. What's the main idea? That the friend would arrive late. Now repeat after me. Good. Another one. The weather forecast said it would rain today, so I brought my umbrella. Main idea. There might be rain, so the person brought an umbrella. Repeat after me. Excellent. This kind of exercise trains your ability to listen for meaning, which is more important than catching every single word. Now, let's do some role play together. Imagine we're at a restaurant. I'll be the waiter and you'll be the customer. Here we go. Good evening. Are you ready to order? Answer. Maybe you said, yes, I'd like a salad, please. Good. Next line. Would you like anything to drink with that? Answer. Maybe, yes, I'll have a glass of water. Perfect. Next line. Great, your food will be ready in a few minutes. And you can reply, thank you very much. This kind of short role play prepares you for real interactions. You're not just memorizing lines, you're practicing flow and response. Speaking fluently also means thinking directly in English instead of translating from your first language. Translation slows you down and makes you hesitate. So, how can you train your brain to think in English? One way is to describe your surroundings in simple English sentences as you go about your day. For example, if you're walking to the store, say quietly to yourself, I'm walking down the street. I see a red car. The weather is sunny today. These simple descriptions keep your brain active in English without pressure. Another way is to keep a short daily journal in English. Write 3 or 4 sentences about what you did, how you felt, or what you plan for tomorrow. Over time, this builds fluency from the inside out. Let's practice some inner thinking together. I'll describe a situation, and you imagine yourself speaking in English inside your head. Ready. You're in a supermarket, and you see the fruit section. You can think, the apples look fresh today. I need to buy bananas. Oh, those grapes are on sale. By training your inner voice in English, you prepare yourself to speak more easily out loud. This technique is simple, but extremely powerful for fluency. Another helpful exercise is repetition with variation. That means you repeat the same idea in different ways. Let's practice. The sentence is, I like drinking coffee in the morning. Say it. Good. Now variation. In the morning, I enjoy a cup of coffee. Repeat. Another variation. Coffee is what I usually drink in the morning. Repeat. By practicing different forms of the same idea, you learn flexibility. You train your brain not to freeze when you can't remember one phrase because you'll know another way to say it. Finally, for this section, let's relax with a short listening visualization. Close your eyes if you can, and imagine you are at a train station in London. You hear the announcement. The next train to Oxford will depart from platform 3 in 5 minutes. You listen, repeat it in your mind, and then say it out loud. Very good. Visualization helps because it places your practice in real-life situations. It's not just words. It's words connected to images, places, and feelings. That's how fluency grows deeper. Let's keep building on that visualization idea. The more you can connect English to real moments in your life, the more natural it becomes. Think about being in an airport. You hear the announcement, Flight BA274 to New York is now boarding at Gate 12. Repeat it out loud. Imagine yourself walking through the gate, hearing the words, and responding in English if someone asks, Excuse me, is this the line for New York? You can reply, Yes, I think so. We're boarding here. By putting yourself into these scenes, you practice both listening and speaking in a realistic way. Now, let's shift into pronunciation focus. At the B1 and B2 levels, you probably know the main sounds of English, but small details in pronunciation can make your speech clearer and your listening sharper. For example, the difference between ship and sheep. Say ship. Now say sheep. Hear the difference. That longer vowel in sheep changes the meaning completely. Practicing minimal pairs like these not only improves your speaking, but also sharpens your listening so you can catch small differences in real conversations. Here's another pair. Live, as in, I live in London, and leave, as in, I leave work at 5. Say both. Live. Leave. Excellent. When listening to others, try to notice if they use short or long vowel sounds. And when you speak, exaggerate a little at first. Live, leave, until it feels natural. These tiny adjustments give you much more confidence in real conversations. Now, let's do a quick rhythm exercise. English is a stress-timed language, which means that some words are said more strongly, while others are softer and quicker. For example, in the sentence, I went to the market yesterday, the stressed words are went, market, and yesterday. The other words, I, to, and thee, are softer and faster. Listen again. I went to the market yesterday. Repeat. Good. Feeling this rhythm makes you sound more natural and also helps you catch the main words when listening to others. Try this sentence with me. She bought a new phone last week. Stress on new and weak. Repeat. Excellent. By focusing on rhythm, you train your ear to filter out less important words and grab the key ideas quickly. That's exactly what fluent listeners do. Now let's do another dialogue shadowing. This time, pay close attention to rhythm and stress. Ready. Hi, do you have any plans for the weekend? Repeat. Yes, I'm going to visit my parents. Repeat. That sounds nice. How often do you see them? Repeat. Not very often, maybe once every 2 months. Repeat. Excellent. Did you notice how certain words carried more weight? Plans, weekend, visit, parents. How often? 2 months. These are the words that carry the meaning. The rest flows around them like music. Another way to train your listening is to focus on keywords rather than every single word. When you're listening to a long explanation, it's normal to miss a few small words. But if you catch the key ones, you'll still understand the message. Let's try. I'll say a sentence quickly, and you listen for the main idea. Although it was raining heavily, we decided to go hiking because we had planned it weeks before. The key words here are raining, hiking, and planned weeks before. That gives you the main idea even if you missed the smaller grammar words. Try repeating the main idea. Good. This method takes away the pressure of understanding every single detail. Let's practice again. The restaurant was full, so we had to wait 20 minutes before getting a table. Keywords: restaurant full, wait 20 minutes, table. Repeat the main idea. Perfect. This is exactly what fluent listeners do in real life. They don't stress over every little sound. They focus on the heart of the message. Now, let's move into speaking fluency with storytelling again. I'll start a short story and you continue out loud with your own details. Here we go. Last night, I decided to cook something new for dinner. Continue it. Maybe you said, I made pasta with vegetables, or I tried a new recipe from the internet. Perfect. Next prompt. When I arrived at the park, I saw something surprising. Continue. Maybe, I saw a group of people dancing, or there was a street performance with music. Excellent. This kind of exercise not only gives you practice speaking, but also forces you to think quickly in English and use your creativity. Another powerful way to improve both listening and speaking is shadowing longer recordings. We're doing it live here in short pieces, but you can also do it on your own with podcasts or audiobooks. The secret is to listen once, then listen again while repeating at the same time. At first it feels difficult, but after a few minutes, your brain starts to align with the rhythm of English speech. For today, let's practice with a short paragraph. Learning English is like building a house. You start with strong foundations, then you add walls, windows, and a roof. Every day of practice adds another brick, and eventually, you have a beautiful home. Repeat sentence by sentence. Excellent. By shadowing like this, you're not only improving pronunciation, but also training your brain to keep up with real English speed. Speaking of speed, many learners worry when they hear native speakers talking fast. But remember, fast English is not about speaking quickly without control. It's about reducing unnecessary pauses and connecting words smoothly. Let's practice a slow version, then a faster one. Sentence: I'll give you a call when I get home. Slowly: I will give you a call when I get home. Repeat: faster and natural. I'll give you a call when I get home. Repeat. Notice how the meaning stays the same, but the flow becomes easier to follow. That's the kind of fluency you want to aim for. Now let's challenge you with some listening comprehension. I'll tell you a short situation, then ask you a question. Listen carefully. Maria had a job interview yesterday. She was nervous at first, but the interviewer was very friendly, and she left the office feeling confident. Question: how did Maria feel when she left the office? Answer: confident. Very good. Another one. Tom went shopping for groceries. He bought milk, bread, and fruit, but he forgot to buy eggs. Question: what did Tom forget to buy? Answer: eggs. Excellent. This shows that even with short stories, you can practice both listening and speaking at once. Now I want you to think about your own learning journey. What situations do you want to be ready for in English? Maybe it's traveling. Maybe it's working with international colleagues. Maybe it's studying abroad. Whatever your goal, imagine yourself in that situation and practice the conversations you might need. For example, if you're traveling, practice ordering food, asking for directions, or checking into a hotel. If you're working, practice explaining your job, giving your opinion in a meeting, or making small talk with colleagues. By tailoring your practice to your real goals, your motivation and progress will grow faster. Let's do a quick role play with a travel situation. Imagine you're checking into a hotel. I'll be the receptionist. Good evening. Welcome to our hotel. Do you have a reservation? Your answer, good. Next line, can I have your passport, please? Answer, great. Next line, your room is on the 3rd floor. Here's your key card. And you say, thank you very much. Perfect. Short role plays like this prepare you for exactly what you need in daily life. One final practice for this section is about expressing opinions smoothly. At the B1 and B2 levels, many learners can give basic answers but struggle to expand their thoughts. A good trick is to use simple opinion starters. For example, in my opinion, I believe that, from my point of view, or, to be honest. Let's practice. In my opinion, learning English through daily practice is very effective. Repeat. To be honest, I prefer speaking in small groups rather than large classes. Repeat. These phrases give your sentences structure and make your speech more natural. Let's build on that idea of expressing opinions. Once you start using those starters like, in my opinion, or I believe that, the next step is to give reasons. Reasons make your speaking longer, clearer, and more natural. For example, instead of saying just, I like English, you can say, I like English because it connects me with people from different countries. Do you feel how that sounds richer? Let's try one together. In my opinion, practicing every day is important because it helps me stay confident. Repeat that. Very nice. Now try another. I believe that movies are great for learning because they show real conversations. Excellent. These extended answers make your speaking stronger and more fluent. When you're listening, you can also train yourself to notice opinion phrases from others. Imagine someone says, from my perspective, online classes are more convenient. You immediately know this is their opinion, not a fact. Training your ear to recognize these signals helps you understand the flow of conversation more quickly. Let's practice with one more. To be honest, I think traveling is the best way to improve language skills. Did you hear the signal? To be honest, I think this is how conversations naturally move from topic to opinion. Now let's move into fluency practice with everyday scenarios. Imagine you're at work and a colleague asks, "What do you think about the new project?" Instead of freezing, you can say, "Well, from my point of view, the project looks interesting because it will give us new opportunities." Notice how we used, well, from my point of view, to buy a second of thinking time while still sounding fluent. This trick works in almost any situation. It keeps the flow going and reduces hesitation. Let's practice a few more role-play questions. I'll ask, and you answer out loud using one of these opinion starters. First question. What do you think about learning English online? Your answer. Good. Second question. Do you prefer reading books or watching movies? Answer. Nice. Third question. Is it better to study alone or with a partner? Answer. Excellent. Practicing like this gives you confidence when someone suddenly asks for your thoughts in English. Now, let's talk about listening to different accents. At B1 and B2, you might feel comfortable with one accent, maybe American or British, but then you meet someone from Australia, India, or South Africa, and suddenly it feels harder. This is normal. The key is exposure. The more you listen to different voices, the more flexible your ear becomes. Don't expect to understand very detail immediately. Focus on the rhythm, the stress, and the main keywords. With time, your brain adapts. Just like muscles grow stronger with different exercises, your listening skills grow with different accents. Let's try a listening challenge with slightly different rhythms. Imagine this is a British speaker. I'll meet you at 6:30 near the station. Repeat it. Notice, 6:30 is a common British way to say 6:30. Now, an American version. I'll meet you at 6:30 near the station. Repeat it. Same meaning, different expression. Training yourself with these variations helps you avoid confusion in real conversations. Another thing that improves fluency is practicing transitions. These are small words and phrases that link ideas smoothly. For example, first of all, on the other hand, by the way, in addition, as a result. These transitions keep your speech connected. Let's practice one. First of all, I'd like to thank you for your help. Repeat another. On the other hand, working from home can feel lonely. Repeat, excellent. By using transitions, you speak longer and more smoothly, and you also understand others more clearly when they connect their ideas. Let's do a short exercise where I'll start a thought, and you finish it using a transition. I enjoy listening to podcasts. In addition, you might say, in addition, I watch English videos online. Perfect. Another one. It's raining today. As a result, maybe. As a result, I'm staying inside. Excellent. This is how you make your English flow naturally from one idea to the next. Speaking fluently also means managing small talk. Many learners focus only on serious topics, but in daily life, small talk is everywhere. At work, in shops, at social gatherings. Let's practice. Imagine you meet someone at the bus stop. They say, "Nice weather today, isn't it?" You can reply, "Yes, it's really sunny. I hope it stays like this for the weekend." Simple, natural, and smooth. Let's try another. "Did you watch the game last night?" You could say, "No, I missed it, but I heard it was exciting." These short, easy exchanges keep conversations alive and make you feel comfortable in English-speaking environments. Now let's do some shadowing with small talk. Repeat after me. "Hi, how's it going?" Repeat. "Not bad, thanks. Just a little tired." Repeat. "Yeah, I know the feeling. Work has been really busy." Repeat. "Same here. I can't wait for the weekend." Repeat. Excellent. By practicing small talk, you train your listening and speaking for the kinds of conversations you'll have most often in real life. Let's move into a listening and paraphrasing exercise. Paraphrasing means saying the same idea in different words. It's an amazing way to train both your listening and your speaking. For example, if someone says, "I was exhausted after the long meeting," You can paraphrase, "He was really tired because the meeting was long." Same meaning, different form. Let's practice. I'll say a sentence, and you try to restate it in your own words. She missed the bus, so she arrived late to class. Maybe you said, "She was late because she missed the bus." Perfect. Another. "He couldn't sleep last night because it was too hot." You might say, "It was too hot, so he didn't sleep well." Excellent. Paraphrasing improves listening, speaking, and flexibility all at once. Now let's do a quick fluency drill with repetition. I'll say a sentence 3 times, and you'll repeat after each one, copying the rhythm. Ready? I need to finish my homework before dinner. Repeat. I need to finish my homework before dinner. Repeat. I need to finish my homework before dinner. Repeat. Very nice. The more you drill sentences, the more natural they feel in your mouth, and the faster they come out in real life. Let's practice one more with variation. I usually go jogging in the morning. Repeat. I usually go jogging in the morning. Repeat. I usually go jogging in the morning. Repeat. Great. Then create a variation. In the morning, I usually go jogging. Repeat. By switching the order slightly, you train yourself to be flexible. This reduces hesitation when speaking. Now, let's work on listening for details. I'll tell you a short story and then I'll ask some questions. Listen carefully. Last Saturday, Anna went shopping at the mall. She bought a pair of shoes, a jacket, and a book. After shopping, she had lunch at a cafe with her friend. Question 1. What 3 things did Anna buy? Shoes, a jacket, and a book. Question 2. Where did she eat lunch? At a cafe. Question 3. Who did she have lunch with? Her friend. Very good. Practicing like this keeps your listening sharp and your memory strong. One more story. James took the train to another city for a job interview. The interview started at 10 in the morning, and it lasted for 1 hour. After the interview, he walked around the city and visited a museum before going home. Question 1. How did James travel? By train. Question 2. What time did the interview start? 10 in the morning. Question 3. What did he do after the interview? He walked around and visited a museum. Excellent. This combination of listening and responding keeps you engaged and active. Finally, let's end this section with a motivational reminder. Fluency is not built overnight. It is built with every repetition, every shadowing exercise, every attempt you make to listen and speak daily. Don't compare yourself with others. Compare yourself with who you were yesterday. If today you understood one more phrase, repeated one more sentence, or spoke with a little more confidence, that is real progress. Keep celebrating these small steps. They add up to big changes. Let's continue by focusing on confidence in conversations. Many learners at B1 and B2 levels understand English but hesitate to speak because they're afraid of making mistakes. I want you to remember something important. Communication is more valuable than perfection. Even if you make small grammar errors, people will usually understand you. What matters is your ability to keep the conversation moving. So instead of worrying about being perfect, focus on being clear and confident. One way to train this is through timed speaking. Set a timer for 1 minute, choose a simple topic, and speak non-stop until the timer ends. For example, the topic could be my favorite food. For 1 minute, talk about what it is, how it tastes, when you usually eat it, and why you like it. At first, it might feel difficult, but with practice, your ability to keep speaking will grow stronger. Let's try a short version right now. I'll start with the topic, my favorite season. Here we go. My favorite season is spring because the weather is warm but not too hot. I like walking outside and seeing flowers. In spring, I usually feel more energetic and happy. That was about 30 seconds. Now it's your turn. Pick a topic, set a timer, and speak without stopping. Remember, the goal is not perfect grammar, but fluency and flow. Listening can also be trained through active recall. After you listen to something, pause and repeat the main points out loud. For example, if you listen to a story about someone going on holiday, stop after a few sentences and summarize. She went to Spain. She stayed at a hotel near the beach. She enjoyed swimming. This practice improves memory and strengthens your ability to follow longer conversations. Let's try, listen carefully. Yesterday, Mark went to the library to study. He borrowed 2 books on history, and then he met a friend for coffee. Now summarize. You might say, Mark went to the library, got 2 history books, and had coffee with a friend. Excellent. This kind of recall sharpens both listening and speaking at the same time. Another important skill for fluency is asking questions. Questions keep conversations alive. At B1 and B2, learners often give short answers but forget to ask back. For example, if someone asks, "How was your weekend?" and you answer, "It was good," the conversation ends quickly. But if you add a question like, "It was good, thanks. How was your weekend?" you create a real exchange. Let's practice. I'll give you a short answer, and you add a question. I watched a movie last night. Your turn. Maybe you said, "Which movie did you watch?" Perfect. Another one. I went shopping yesterday. Add a question. What did you buy? Excellent. Practicing this habit makes you more confident in conversations. Now let's practice with a small dialogue where you must answer and then ask back. I'll start. Hi, how are you? You answer, I'm fine, thanks. How are you? Good. Next. I had a busy day at work. You reply, oh really, what did you do? Excellent. Conversations become smoother and more natural when you practice this question and answer rhythm. At this stage, I also want to remind you about shadowing with emotion. Don't just copy the words, copy the feeling. If the sentence is happy, let your voice rise with energy. If it's sad, let it sound softer. For example, say this with me. I'm so excited, I finally got the job. Repeat with excitement. Now another. I felt really tired after working all night. Repeat with a tired tone. Practicing emotion in your shadowing makes your speaking more natural and expressive, and it helps you understand others when they speak with feelings. Listening to context is another important skill. Sometimes you don't know one word, but you can guess the meaning from the situation. For example, if you hear, she put on her raincoat because it was, even if you didn't catch the last word, you can guess it was raining. Let's practice. He couldn't find his wallet, so he looked in his, maybe you guessed bag or pocket. Perfect. Another one. I need to hurry, or I'll miss the, probably bus or train. Exactly. By practicing guessing from context, you reduce stress when listening and stay confident even if you don't understand every word. Let's do a role-play exercise where context is key. I'll say a line, and you respond naturally even if you don't know every detail. Excuse me, can you help me carry this box? You might answer, sure, no problem. Good. Another, could you tell me how to get to the post office from here? You could reply, yes, go straight and turn left. Excellent. Context gives you enough information to keep speaking and listening without fear. Another great exercise is describing pictures or scenes. Even though we don't have visuals in this lesson, you can imagine them. For example, imagine a kitchen. Describe it in English. The kitchen is small but modern. There is a fridge on the left and a table in the middle. The window is open and sunlight is coming in. Practicing descriptions builds vocabulary and fluency. Now imagine a park. Describe it. The park is full of green trees. Children are playing on the swings. A man is jogging on the path. This practice also prepares you for listening tasks where you have to understand descriptions quickly. Let's practice active speaking again with a personal topic. I'll ask you a question, and you answer with at least 3 sentences. Ready? What's your favorite type of music, and why? Speak out loud. Maybe you said, my favorite type of music is pop because it makes me feel happy. I usually listen when I'm walking. It gives me energy. Great. Another question. Tell me about your hometown. Answer with details. For example, my hometown is small but very friendly. There are many shops in the center. I like going back to visit my family. Perfect. Expanding your answers to 3 sentences or more helps your fluency grow naturally. Now, let's do another listening story. Last night, Emma cooked dinner for her family. She made pasta with tomato sauce and salad. After dinner, they watched a movie together. Question 1. What did Emma cook? Pasta with tomato sauce and salad. Question 2. What did they do after dinner? They watched a movie. Very good. These little exercises make listening and speaking work together like 2 sides of the same coin. At this point, I want you to take a moment and notice your progress. You've been shadowing, repeating, answering, asking, and paraphrasing. These are all the exact skills that lead to fluency. You don't need to memorize hundreds of grammar rules to speak well. You need to build habits of listening actively and responding confidently. That's what we're doing together in this practice. Let's do one final fluency drill for this section with fast responses. I'll say a word, and you immediately make a sentence with it. Don't overthink. Just speak. First word, travel. Maybe you said, I love to travel to new places. Good. Next word, book. You could say, I read a good book last week. Nice. Next word, coffee. Perhaps, I drink coffee every morning. Excellent. This fast response practice pushes your brain to think directly in English instead of translating. Remember, your goal is daily practice. A little bit every day keeps your skills fresh and growing. Even 5 minutes of shadowing or a short listening summary is powerful. Consistency is your secret weapon. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep going. Day by day, your listening will sharpen, your speaking will flow, and your confidence will grow. Let's keep going with confidence training. Another important part of fluency is learning how to handle misunderstandings politely. In real conversations, you won't always hear or understand everything, and that's completely normal. The key is knowing the right phrases to keep the conversation moving without stress. For example, you can say, "Sorry, could you say that again?" Or, "I didn't quite catch that. Could you repeat it, please?" Let's practice together. Repeat after me. "Sorry, could you say that again?" Good. Another. "I didn't quite catch that. Could you repeat it, please?" Excellent. Having these phrases ready makes you more relaxed when listening feels difficult. Now let's practice how to check understanding. You can use phrases like, "Do you mean?" or, "So, you're saying that?" Imagine someone says, "I'll meet you near the library at 6. You can reply, "So, you're saying we'll meet at 6 by the library, right?" This not only confirms the detail, but also gives you extra speaking practice. Let's try another. Umiwan says, "I usually go swimming 3 times a week." You check, "Do you mean you go swimming every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday?" Perfect. Checking meaning is part of real fluency. Another useful skill is reformulation. That means repeating back what someone said in slightly different words. For example, if your friend says, "I started a new job last week," you can reply, "Oh, so you began working at a new company last week?" This shows you understood and it keeps the conversation alive. Let's practice. I'll say something and you rephrase it out loud. "I stayed up late last night watching TV." You might say, "So you went to bed late because you were watching TV." Excellent. Another. "We're going on holiday next month." You can say, "So you'll travel somewhere next month for vacation." Perfect. Practicing reformulation builds both listening and speaking skills at once. Let's move into an exercise where we combine listening and responding quickly. I'll give you short pieces of information, and you answer naturally. "I'm planning to study abroad next year." You might say, "That's exciting. Where are you planning to go?" Good. Another. "I bought a new phone yesterday." You can reply, "Really? What kind of phone did you get?" Excellent. The habit of responding with interest makes you sound fluent and keeps conversations flowing. Now let's focus on longer speaking. At this level, it's useful to practice giving short mini presentations. Don't worry, I don't mean formal presentations. I mean explaining something simple for 1 or 2 minutes. For example, talk about your daily routine in detail. "I usually wake up at 7. I have breakfast, and then I take the bus to work. At work, I spend time answering emails, attending meetings, and helping customers. After work, I like to cook dinner and read a book." Speaking for a longer stretch helps your fluency because you learn to connect sentences naturally. Now, I want you to try. Pick a topic like "my last holiday" or "my favorite hobby" and talk about it out loud for a minute or two. Don't worry about mistakes. Just keep speaking and connecting your ideas. Listening practice can also be improved by focusing on signal words. These are words that show what kind of information is coming. For example, first, then, after that, finally. If you hear these words, you know the speaker is telling a sequence, or, however, on the other hand, in contrast. These signal a comparison. Let's practice listening for signals. I'll give you a short passage. First, we visited the museum. Then we had lunch at a small cafe. After that, we walked through the park. Finally, we went back to the hotel. What did the signal words tell you? They told you the order of events. Good. Another passage. I enjoy city life. However, sometimes it feels too noisy. On the other hand, the countryside is quiet but less convenient. What do the signals show? A comparison. Excellent. Training yourself to listen for these clues makes longer conversations easier to follow. Let's practice speaking with signals too. I'll start, and you finish. First, I wake up and brush my teeth. Then, maybe you said, then I have breakfast. Good. Another. I like reading books. On the other hand, you might say, on the other hand, I don't enjoy watching TV very much. Excellent. Using signals gives your speech structure and clarity. Another powerful way to practice both listening and speaking is through dialogues about daily problems. For example, imagine your internet stops working. You call customer service. Let's role play. Hello, my internet isn't working. Could you help me, please? Your turn to repeat. Next line. Sure, can you tell me when the problem started? Answer. It started this morning. Good. Next line. We'll send a technician tomorrow. And you say, thank you. That would be great. Practicing scenarios like this prepares you for real conversations where you might feel nervous. By practicing in advance, you'll be ready to handle them calmly. Now let's do some pronunciation focus again. This time, let's practice word stress. In English, stressing the wrong syllable can make a word hard to understand. For example, the word photograph has stress on the first syllable, pho graph, but photography has stress on the second syllable, photography. Let's practice. Say photograph. Good. Now, photography. Excellent. Another pair. Present as a noun, present, like a birthday present, and present as a verb, present, like I will present my idea. Repeat both. Very nice. Being aware of stress helps your listening and makes your speaking much clearer. Wow. Let's try a short shadowing passage focusing on stress. Yesterday, I bought a new computer. I needed it for my university classes. The old one was too slow, so I decided to replace it. Repeat after me, sentence by sentence. Good. Notice where the stress naturally falls. Words like yesterday, computer, university, classes, slow, replace. These are the key ideas, and they stand out more strongly. At this stage, I want you to think about how far you've come. You've practiced listening for keywords, shadowing dialogues, expressing opinions, asking questions, and checking meaning. These are the real tools that turn your English into fluent communication. Remember, fluency doesn't mean never pausing or never making mistakes. Fluency means moving smoothly through a conversation, even if you need to repeat, clarify, or rephrase. That's what real speakers do, even in their own languages. Let's finish this section with a quick, combined exercise. I'll tell you a short situation. You'll listen, then respond with both an answer and a follow-up question. Ready? My friend invited me to a barbecue this weekend. You might say, "That sounds fun. What will you bring to eat?" Good. Another. I started a new book yesterday. You can reply, "Nice. What's it about?" Excellent. This simple habit of answering and asking makes you an active, fluent conversational partner. And that's exactly the kind of skill that daily practice builds. Let's continue by practicing how to speak for longer stretches without losing flow. One very effective exercise is story building. I'll give you the beginning of a story, and you will continue it with your own imagination. For example, last Friday I went to the train station to meet a friend. You might continue. She arrived 10 minutes late, and we decided to have coffee together. By practicing this, you not only strengthen your speaking, but also train your listening to follow longer ideas without breaking, "Let's try another." When I opened the door, I saw something surprising. Continue with your own sentence. Excellent. This trains your fluency and creativity at the same time. Now let's do a memory recall activity. I'll give you a short paragraph, then I'll ask questions. Listen carefully. On Sunday afternoon, David went to the park with his dog. They played fetch for an hour, and then David sat on a bench to read a book. Later, he met a friend for dinner at a nearby restaurant. Question 1. Who did David go to the park with? His dog. Question 2. What did David do after playing fetch? He sat on a bench to read a book. Question 3. Where did he have dinner? At a nearby restaurant with a friend. Perfect. This exercise shows how listening closely and then recalling details improves comprehension and prepares you for real conversations where you need to remember information. Another important strategy at the B1 and B2 level is learning to manage conversations with polite interruptions. For example, if you want to add your opinion, you can say, "Excuse me, can I just add something?" Or, "Sorry to interrupt, but I'd like to say..." Let's practice. Repeat after me. "Excuse me, can I just add something?" Good. "Sorry to interrupt, but I'd like to say..." Excellent. Having these phrases ready makes you more confident when participating in group discussions. Now let's move into a fluency activity with opinions and reasons. I'll ask a question. You answer with a clear opinion and at least one reason. Question. Do you prefer traveling by train or by plane? Answer with your choice and why. For example, I prefer traveling by train because it's more comfortable and I can see the scenery. Very good. Next question. Is it better to learn English alone or with a teacher? Maybe you said, "With a teacher," because they can correct mistakes and guide me. Perfect. Expanding your answers like this makes your speech richer and smoother. Listening can also be improved by noticing patterns in stories. For example, many stories follow the same structure: setting, problem, solution, ending. Let's listen to one. Yesterday, I was cooking dinner when suddenly the power went out. I couldn't use the stove, so I decided to order pizza instead. In the end, it was fun because my family enjoyed it together. Did you hear the pattern? Situation, problem, solution, and ending. If you listen for patterns, longer conversations become easier to follow because you know what to expect. Now let's do another shadowing exercise with rhythm and emotion. Repeat after me. I can't believe it. I finally passed my exam. Say it with excitement. Good. Now another. I felt disappointed when I missed the bus. Say it with sadness. Excellent. Shadowing with emotion helps your speaking sound natural and prepares you to understand feelings in other people's voices. Listening is not just about words. It's also about tone, rhythm, and energy. At this point, let's practice speaking fluently in a role play about making plans. I'll start, and you reply naturally. Hi, are you free tomorrow evening? You could say, yes, I am. Why? Next line, do you want to go to the new restaurant downtown? You might reply, sure, that sounds great. What time should we meet? Next line, let's meet at 7. And you reply, perfect, see you then. Role play practice like this gives you the exact sentences you'll need in daily life and helps you listen and respond smoothly. Another useful skill is reformulating your thoughts if you forget a word. For example, if you can't remember the word umbrella, you can say, the thing you use when it rains. The listener will understand, and you'll keep the conversation alive. This is called circumlocution. Let's practice. Imagine you can't remember the word elevator. You might say, the machine that takes you up and down in a building. Good. Another. Forget passport. You can say, the document you need to travel to another country. Excellent. Practicing this skill keeps your speaking fluent even when your vocabulary is limited. Now, let's strengthen listening again with a fast response game. I'll say a sentence, and you give a quick reaction. Ready? I just bought a new car. You might say, that's great. Congratulations. Another, I failed my exam. You could say, oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. Another, I'm going on holiday next week. You might reply, that sounds amazing. Where are you going? This game builds natural reactions, which are the heart of real conversation. Let's do a final extended listening activity. Listen carefully. Samantha works as a nurse in a busy hospital. Every day she helps patients, gives medicine, and checks their health. Last week she worked extra hours because the hospital was very busy. Even though she was tired, she felt proud because she helped so many people. Now I'll ask questions. Who does Samantha work as? A nurse. Where does she work? In a hospital. Why did she work extra hours last week? Because the hospital was very busy. How did she feel at the end? Proud, even though she was tired. Excellent. This shows that you can listen for details, recall them, and respond clearly. Before we finish, I want you to take a moment and reflect on your journey. At the beginning, maybe English conversations felt too fast, or you felt shy to speak. But through listening, shadowing, repeating, and practicing daily, you've built stronger habits. Every phrase you repeated, every dialogue you practiced, every story you listened to, all of it has brought you one step closer to fluency. Remember, fluency is not about being perfect. It's about being confident, clear, and comfortable when using English. As your coach, I want to remind you that progress comes little by little. Just like learning to play an instrument or training for a sport, your daily effort matters more than long but rare practice sessions. Even 5 or 10 minutes of focused listening and speaking each day will push you forward. Over weeks and months, you will notice a huge difference. So, keep this routine alive. Make English a part of your daily life, and fluency will come naturally. And now, as we close today's practice, I want to thank you personally for spending this time with me. You've done an amazing job listening carefully, repeating out loud, and challenging yourself to think and respond in English. Remember to be patient and kind to yourself. You're making real progress, step by step. Keep listening. Keep speaking. Keep believing in your ability to grow. Thank you so much for learning with me today. Stay motivated, stay curious, and most of all, stay consistent. That's the secret to fluency. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell icon so you don't miss future lessons. I'll see you again very soon for more daily English practice. Until then, take care and keep speaking English every single day.